4.3, modeling with quadratic functions. This is a lot like when we had linear modeling. So you will need to use your graphing calculator. If you don't have one, suggest still at this moment to still go buy one. Check eBay. Check your friends. Find one or find mine. Here you have a parabola containing the points, those three. What is the equation of the parabola in standard form? So what I'm going to do is write up three separate equations, and I'm going to put different color for each equation. And I'm just going to plug in x and y to the equations, but a, b, and c for the other ones. So again, if you look, I have a, b, and c, but I plugged in each different equation. Now I'm going to simplify. This first one, 0 times a is going to get rid of that. 0 times b is going to get rid of that. So I know that c is equal to 0. Now that's going to help me for my other two equations. So instead of writing c here, I'm going to erase that. Oops, I couldn't. I'm just going to put 0 instead. Now I'm going to simplify both of these two equations, the red and the purple. So if I simplify this, negative 1 squared is just going to be 1. So I would have negative 2 is equal to a minus b. The reason why it's minus is because I plugged negative 1 in there, and negative 1 times c is going to give me a negative b. And the second one, if I simplify that, I'll get 6 is equal to a plus b. And now I have a system of equations. So again, I already know that c is equal to 0, so I'm going to solve for a and b. The b's are already opposite of each other, so I'm going to add those two equations together. So I get 4 is equal to a. Now I'm going to plug that back into either equation. I'm going to just pick the top one, so negative 2 is equal to 4 minus b. If I subtract 4, I would get negative 6 is equal to a negative b, so 6 is equal to b. Now I have all my parts that I need to write out my equation. I have the c, I have a, and I have b. So when I'm writing my final equation, I have y will be equal to a is 4, so it would be 4x squared. B is 6, so I'm going to have plus 6x. And c is 0. You could write 0, or you could just leave it. It doesn't really matter. So this would be my answer. Attempt this problem by yourself. Again, first you have to plug 3 points into the standard equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So if you look, again, with the first equation, 0, 0, that's going to get me that c is equal to 0. So I'm just going to solve this system right here. Add the two equations together since b is already opposite of each other. And I'll get a is equal to negative 6. So I have y is equal to negative 6x squared. My b is equal to 4, so I'm going to have 4x plus c. Now we're getting into the modeling information, where you would have to use your graphing calculator. So just like how we have done before, you'd have to go to first, stat. So if you want to write down these steps, you can. If you already know them, that's fine. Once you input your information in the edit, then you go back to stat. And this time, so you put it into your L1, L2, same thing that you would do right here. Whoopsie daisy. You would also want to make sure to be careful when you're inputting, especially when you're doing time, that you have representation of the 24-hour clock, so military time. So instead of having 2 p.m., that would be your 14. Once you go and put that in, you're going to go to the stat, and you go to quadratic regression. And you calculate that, and you'll get some information like this. Once you get that, that's going to be your actual equation. This is kind of like your trend quadratic. So this is using your information to create a trend equation. Let's make that plus 14.71 x minus 36.12. Then you can use that equation to predict, just like how we did before, to predict information. So we're going to predict the high temperature for the day. The reason it's the high temperature, if you notice, this is a negative. That means the parabola would be upside down. So we would have a maximum point there. So if I were to predict the high temperature, I would have to figure out what the vertex is. When you're figuring out this vertex, you can either use a graphing calculator or you could use our negative or opposite b over 2a to help you. So either way you want to use graphing calculator or the equation, you would get your vertex about at 15.7, 79. So what does this actually mean? So if you remember, the x was your time and the y was your temperature. So when I'm looking at to predict the high temperature for the day and what time does that occur at, again, this is a military time for your x value. So if I want to figure out what actual time it is, if I subtract 12 from that, that'd be 3 p.m. So around 3 p.m., my high temperature for the day is 79. Right there. Using your vertex. That is all I have for you. We will be using your graphing calculator a lot in class to be practicing just like we did before in Chapter 2. Have a great, grand, wonderful day.